Hello, welcome back. In this video I'm going to introduce you to BitBucket and GitHub, and I'm going to show you how this all works in the online universe, you know. Now, I have been very economical in terms of what I've shown you guys here. This is a crash course. And you know, there's a few other things, I suppose. Some developers like to use tags. So let's imagine that this was version 1. You could click tag and then do 1.0.0 and do add. And you've now got this little tag here that reminds you that it's version 1. Now, personally, I don't bother with that, but I know lots of developers who like that. The truth of the matter is, you can have a super full, enriched web development career just with the information that I've given you. So don't worry about it. You'll probably pick other things up as you go along, but who cares, you know, and dealing with merge conflicts, cherry picking and rebasing and all of that. But who cares? You've got enough, and I think you're going to be cool. So now I'd like to introduce you to GitHub and BitBucket. The idea is, when we've finished working on this, we would like to presumably upload it to the web eventually. But if we're going to collaborate somewhere, you might want it somewhere where we can all, and when I say we all, I mean the developers, we can all jump in and chip in with this and get the thing and all of that stuff. I'm all mixed up as well. What am I trying to say? Give me another modafinil someday. Anyway, there's a couple of sites that are leading players as far as uploading your repositories go. One is GitHub and the other is BitBucket. Now, they both do pretty much the same thing. You know, the layout's slightly different, but they both do pretty much the same thing. You can see here that I've got a few repositories that I've uploaded to GitHub. This is GitHub here, right? So here's the Insider Club repository. Here it is here. And you can see I'm using really meaningful comments here. I'm sure the IT aficionados would love me for that. But this is a repository that I have uploaded to GitHub. And anybody who wants, who has the address of this thing, can download it onto their computer, and it's a pretty easy thing to do. So I'll tell you the difference between GitHub and BitBucket in a minute, but let me just show you how this works. Supposing I was interested in Symphony, is that how they spell it these days? Let me just check. Oh, Jiminy, hold on. I need to do this from the home page. Okay, let's do Symphony, and we'll see what's going on here. Okay, so here's the Symphony Framework. There are, of course, thousands and thousands and thousands of different repositories, millions actually, on GitHub. But supposing I wanted the Symphony Framework, well, here it is here. Looks like it was updated 3 hours ago. And I can see the repository here. I can see who's in charge of it. It's FabPots, that Fabien Pétonsière. And if I wanted to download Symphony, then one of the techniques that I could use is I could do clone or download. And look at this. It's giving me the URL here, the GitHub URL for Symphony, right? So if I then go into HT docs, let's say, and I'll make a new folder up called Symphony. Like, oh gee, it's already taken. Okay, I must have done something with Symphony in the past. Right, I'll call this one Symphony 2017. Okay, so I've now got an empty Symphony folder in HT docs. Check this out. So now I'm going to go back to GitHub and copy that URL and open up SourceTree and click New Repository and then clone from URL. I'm going to chuck in the URL where the GitHub repository for Symphony lives, and it's trying to chuck it into a strange destination path, which isn't quite what I'm looking for. Let me just point it to the right one. Here it's here. And if I do that, and I'll change the name of the repository to Symphony. Okay, so it's in the folder Symphony 2017, but the repository is called Symphony. Now I'm going to hit clone. And straight away, if you look up the top here, it's now downloading that from the web. And this Git technology is really incredible because when it comes to downloading and uploading, it uses some really sophisticated compression technologies. So everything is really fast. It's much faster than something like FTP, for example. And as you can see right now, it's just downloading Symphony. So I'll fast forward this for a few seconds. Okay, so that's now all downloaded, and you can see all of the different branches and merges and whatnot that have gone on here. This has a serious history, this framework. So there it all is, and if I look inside the Symphony 2017 folder, look, here it is in all its glory. And you know, the really cool thing is there's nothing to stop me from creating a branch, let's say, calling it whatever I want, DC, you know, and then I could do some stuff with Symphony, and then I could send it up to them, and Fabian could check it out, and I'm absolutely sure that he'd say, oh, this is incredible, and he would hopefully merge that into his main branch, the master branch. Actually, you can see that's what it's called here. Okay, now that's pretty much all there is to downloading sites using GitHub, and BitBucket is exactly the same. You know, I'm sitting here saying they've got pretty much the same features. As far as I can tell, GitHub and BitBucket have the same features. I struggle to find any differences actually. They have different interfaces, but it's the same idea. Now, uploading or sending your repository to GitHub, Hub and BitBucket is a very easy process, and I'm going to show you that in just a second. But before doing that, I want to just quickly discuss the key differences with GitHub and BitBucket as far as the user agreements go. Okay, so we've got a couple of platforms that we can upload our repositories to. One is GitHub and the other is BitBucket. Both of these are free at the point of entry. So that means that you can create an account free of charge. You can get up and running and upload repositories and all of that stuff, download stuff, whatever. You can do all of that free of charge on both of these platforms. Both of them have, like I say, as far as I can tell, they have the same features. Now maybe some genius is going to tell me I'm wrong there and there's a couple of nuances that are different, but they're basically doing the same thing, okay? The key difference is in terms of how they charge. In the case of GitHub, if you happen to have an open source project, okay, like the Symphony Framework, for example, then you can upload your repository to GitHub and you can have full access to that, and other people can contribute and everything, and there's no charge, okay? However, in fact, let me just show you the pricing. No, I've just clocked the thing here. So GitHub is free. You can see it along the top here. It's free for all public and open source projects, okay? So if you do have an open source project, it's all free. There are paid plans that you can see here, and that's actually not a bad price. $7 a month for unlimited private repositories. And there's the vibe, okay? Now the other thing is BitBucket. The way that this works is different. BitBucket is, well, at least my own interpretation is, this is more suited to commercial work, because with BitBucket, Let me just show you the pricing here actually. Might as well do that rather than listening to me. Here we go. So with BitBucket, it's free of charge for small teams, okay? So that's perfect for me because I'm never working with any more than a few people at best actually. So if you have a small team, up to 5 users, you can use BitBucket free of charge even for commercial projects, okay? And with BitBucket, the pricing model is really based around the size of the team, you know. I have to say that strikes me as being not a very good pricing model from the perspective of BitBucket. I think that as time goes on, it's becoming more and more clear that small IT teams are actually a lot more adaptable and a lot more productive even than big IT teams. So I'm not sure if this will always be the case. Maybe they'll change this, but at the moment, this is the vibe. If you're in a small team like me, you can use BitBucket for free, okay? So the general rule, folks, is if it's something that's open source, you're happy to share it, your best vibe is to use GitHub, and if it's commercial stuff, I think you're generally best to use BitBucket. Now, in just a second, I'm going to push this up to BitBucket, right? And I'll show you how that works. It's really easy. But before we do that, there's just one more thing that I would like to show you, if that's cool. And that is git ignore, okay? So sometimes you might have files and folders that are really top secret and you don't want this stuff to appear in the repository. So let's imagine, for example, I've got a new folder and we'll call this folder top secret, like this. Here's our top secret stuff, and I'll make a new file and I'll I don't know, put something in here, top secret.txt, and this has got some information that I just don't want it on the repo for some reason, you know. Let's also imagine that we don't want to maybe have this, let's see, maybe this config thing here with the base URL, or maybe the database file, something like that. In fact, do you know what? Maybe the whole config folder. Maybe we just don't want that included in our repository. After all, it's probably going to change for different people, you know. So if we have a vibe where we don't want those included, then what we do is we make a git ignore file, okay? Now, there are buttons and whatnot on SourceTree for doing this, but my experience is that even SourceTree, as good as it is, can sometimes be a little bit strange when it comes to this stuff. Sometimes it's kind of temperamental. So I think you're as well just doing this yourself, right? And it's really easy. All we do is we go into the main directory and we make a file called .git ignore, okay? .git ignore, that's all there is to it, okay? And I'm just going to do that, and that's all looking pretty good. So here is our git ignore thing, and let's ignore this top secret thing here, okay? So the way that I would do that is I would do / top secret and another /, and that's saying to Git or to SourceTree, don't include the stuff that's in the top secret folder, you know. And I could make another file up, let's say something like new file, and I'll call this one passwords.php. How about that? And I'll chuck this in the main directory as well. Okay, so this would potentially contain passwords, and check it out. All I would do is I would say passwords.php, and it's as simple as that. Okay, if you wanted to have the config folder ignored, you would say application / config, and that's us, and we would just save that. Okay, now if I head on to junk here and I'll say something like hello, Is it me you're looking for? Okay, so there's something. And here's our, okay, so it knows that there's a get ignore. That's all fine. Okay, so I'm going to add that. And it knows that the junk thing here is as well. Okay, so here we go. Hello, is it me you're looking for, right? So I'm now going to commit that stuff. And I'll say added get ignore. Okay, and I'll say commit. Okay, so it now knows that that get ignores there. And this is where the magic happens, because if I go into a file like this password stuff and I say something like, here is my password, you know, and I don't know, something sensitive, maybe I'm going to go into the top secret stuff here, and let me just see, I'll take this here and I'll say James Bond is my uncle, some top secret information. And if I head back to SourceTree and do commit, you'll see that there is nothing to commit because of the get ignore. Okay, so that's a really handy thing to know, and as you can see, it's really simple. Okay, so now to finish this entire mini series off, I'm going to show you how to push a repository to BitBucket. Okay, and it's exactly the same for GitHub, you know. When I say the word push, it basically just means upload. You know, I'm uploading the repository to BitBucket, and that means that other developers who are in the team will be able to download that and do all of the cool stuff we've covered. Okay, so I'm on BitBucket here. I apologize for hiding some of the screen, but like I say, it's only because I want to kind of protect people who have hired me, you know. I don't mind if people hack my own stuff, but it would be kind of crummy if they went after my clients, you know. But in any event, here we are on BitBucket, and I'm going to create a new repository here. Okay, so we do create new repository, and I'm going to give it a repository name of finished shop. You can see that I had a sneaky practice run. This is a private repository, it's Git, so we hit create repository, and that's all very cool. Now there's some command line stuff here if you're into that type of thing. I'm quite happy to ignore all of that though, because all I'm really interested in is this URL up here. I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to head into SourceTree, and in SourceTree we've got a thing here called remotes. I'm going to right click and choose new remote, and then I'm going to chuck in that URL. Are we going to autocomplete? Maybe not. Okay, so it's called finished shop. There it is there. It will ask for your username and password and whatnot first time around. Afterwards it's going to remember. It remembers my own stuff. So I'm going to say OK. Right, so now I have a connection to BitBucket here, and all I have to do is press this button that says push, right, and I'll send up let me just see, how about just probably I'll do both branches, doesn't matter. I'm going to say OK, and it's now sending it up to BitBucket. Alright, so that's it doing its thing, and it'll probably be quite quick actually. Shouldn't be too long, you know. Okay, so that's that done. And if we now go to BitBucket here and we click on source, okay, let me just do that, and you'll see that all of this stuff is now there. It's now on BitBucket and it's all ready to rock. It's exactly the same for GitHub, same kind of vibe. And so now from BitBucket you can easily send out invitations to other developers and invite them to come and collaborate and whatnot. You can give them permissions and all of that. I'm not going to show you that because it's so easy, it's very obvious, you know. Let me just leave you with one quick point of clarification, maybe even a little correction here. Anyone with an eagle eye will notice that if we go to application, you can still see config here on the repo, right? The repository. However, you'll see that the top secret stuff is not here. So what that means is that when you git ignore something, it doesn't delete it from the repository. It just means that that file or folder is no longer being tracked, you see. So when we made git ignore, we already had a config folder here. Okay, so that's why it's still here. Now, if we change this folder, those updates won't appear. Do you know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's the vibe, and you know what's happening. The other thing, and it's very obvious, I think, if you're working on SourceTree and another developer has done some changes or something like that, then you will see a number appearing here at pool, and it will tell you how many commits there have been, and you can click the pool button at any time and it will bring the repository down from, let's say, BitBucket back onto your computer, and you can do all of your stuff. Okay, so you're just pushing, sending it up to BitBucket, let's say, pooling is bringing it back down, and that's it. That's all there is to it. So thank you for watching. I hope you've found this little crash course helpful, and good luck.